NASCAR lost its main character 4 days ago, and now the story has taken another deeply emotional turn, because the Busch family has finally shared the medical explanation behind Kyle's sudden and devastating death. For days, fans, drivers, and teams have been sitting with shock, grief, questions, and an emptiness that nobody in the sport was prepared for. Now some of those questions have answers, and the answers make everything even harder to absorb. Kyle Busch was 41 years old. He was still racing. He was still competing at the highest level. He was supposed to be at Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend for the Coca-Cola 600. Instead, the family released a statement confirming that the medical evaluation concluded severe pneumonia had progressed into sepsis, leading to rapid and overwhelming complications. That is what took him. An illness that started quietly and moved faster than anyone around him could stop. At the same time, Richard Childress Racing has made one of the most significant legacy decisions this sport has seen in years. The number 8 car is not being handed to another driver. It is being set aside, reserved. Save for one specific person, Kyle's 11-year-old son, Brexton Busch, for the day he is ready to go NASCAR racing. We are going to walk through all of it today. The full timeline of how this unfolded. The family statement. The 911 call details. What that moment at Watkins Glen now means in hindsight. The RCR announcement. The conspiracy theories spreading online and why they need to be addressed carefully. Kyle's final public message to Brexton, and what the future could look like for a young boy who lost his father and inherited one of the most powerful numbers in motorsport history. Let's start with the medical update, because that is where the family has asked people to focus. The statement from the Busch family said the medical evaluation concluded that severe pneumonia progressed into sepsis, resulting in rapid and overwhelming associated complications. They asked for continued understanding and for privacy as they process this loss. That last request matters. The family is not asking the world to stop caring. They are asking it to give them space to grieve something no family should ever have to navigate this publicly, and this fast. Now that the cause is confirmed, looking back at the weeks leading up to May 21st becomes a completely different experience. Earlier in May, Kyle was believed to be fighting a sinus cold. On its own, that didn't raise alarms for anyone. Drivers in NASCAR push through illness constantly. They race sore, sleep-deprived, dehydrated, and sick, because that is the culture of the sport. Kyle Busch in particular was never someone who stepped back from anything unless the situation was truly extreme. So a sinus issue wasn't going to stop him from competing. Then came Watkins Glen on May 10th. During race weekend, Kyle was visibly struggling. Sinus problems, coughing, and the physical punishment of a demanding road course were all stacking up on him. The television broadcast even noted that the G-forces and elevation changes at the Glen were making his condition worse. After the race, he was heard over the team radio, asking for a doctor to be ready at his bus because he was going to need a shot. Most fans who heard that clip probably assumed it was routine. A driver who pushed hard on a rough day, needing some medication to recover. Looking back now, that moment feels like a signal nobody could read at the time. What appeared to be a sinus cold fighting a driver who refused to quit may have already been something more serious developing quietly beneath the surface. Kyle still finished 8th at Watkins Glen. He still showed up. He still competed. Then came Dover for the All-Star weekend. Kyle won the Truck Series race there, his 70th Truck Series victory, extending a record that may never be touched. That win gave fans one final image of Kyle Busch in victory lane, celebrating, doing what he was born to do. After the race, when a reporter asked him why winning still carried so much meaning after all these years, he said it plainly. You never know when the last one is going to be. So cherish them all. Trust me. At the time, it sounded like a veteran, appreciating the difficulty of winning at this level of competition. Now, those words carry a weight that is almost unbearable to sit with. Because that really was the last one. Wednesday, May 20th, is when the situation became a genuine emergency. Audio from a 911 call obtained by NBC News revealed that Kyle was found on the bathroom floor of the General Motors training facility in Concord, North Carolina. He was short of breath, running extremely hot, feeling like he might lose consciousness, and coughing up blood. The caller told emergency dispatchers he had an individual who was having trouble breathing, was very hot, thought he was going to pass out, and was producing blood while coughing. The caller confirmed Kyle was awake but on the floor. An ambulance was requested immediately. That 911 call puts everything into a completely different frame. This was not a driver managing fatigue or fighting through soreness. This was a life-threatening medical emergency unfolding in real time. Kyle was rushed to the hospital. RCR released a statement shortly after saying he would not participate in any Charlotte Motor Speedway activities that weekend. Fans were worried, but many held on to hope that he would rest, recover, and return to competition. Within hours, that hope was gone. NASCAR, Richard Childress Racing, and the Busch family issued a joint statement. It read that on behalf of the Busch family, everyone at RCR and all of NASCAR, they were devastated to announce the sudden and tragic passing of Kyle Busch. The statement called him a future Hall of Famer, a rare talent who comes along once in a generation, fierce, passionate, immensely skilled, and someone who cared deeply about the sport and its fans. Once in a generation is not hyperbole when it comes to Kyle Busch. The numbers confirm it without argument. 63 Cup Series wins, 102 Xfinity Series wins, an all-time record. 69 Truck Series wins, also an all-time record. 234 combined victories across NASCAR's 3 national series, the most by any driver in the history of the sport. Cup championships in 2015 and 2019. A career that was still active. A driver who was still winning races in 2026. He was polarizing in a way that only the truly great ones managed to be. Fans booed him. Rivals feared him. The sport needed him whether it admitted it or not, because Kyle Busch made NASCAR feel alive. He was loud and sharp and impossible to ignore on any given Sunday. He was rowdy and wild thing, and every version of himself that made people tune in specifically to watch what he would do next. Now Richard Childress Racing has responded to his loss with a decision that honors all of that. The number 8 Cup Series car is being suspended from competition. Starting with the Coca-Cola 600 this weekend and continuing beyond, RCR will field the number 33 instead, with Austin Hill taking the seat. The 8 is not being reassigned. It is not being put on another car for the next available driver. It is being held specifically for Braxton Busch, Kyle's son, for the day he is ready to compete in NASCAR racing. RCR stated that Kyle was instrumental in personally designing the stylized version of the number 8 that became synonymous with his name and with his entire run at the organization. That number became inseparable from who he was. Rowdy Nation recognized it on sight, and RCR's position is simple and direct. No one can carry it forward to the level Kyle did, so no one else will carry it at all. Not yet. The parallel to 2001 is impossible to avoid. When Dale Earnhardt Sr. died at Daytona, RCR moved away from the number 3 immediately. Kevin Harvick took over the team, but ran as the number 29. The 3 sat off the Cup grid for 13 years until Richard Childress's own grandson Austin Dillon was ready to bring it back in 2014. RCR held that number through more than a decade of pressure and never wavered. They understand better than anyone in this sport what it means when a number stops being just a number and becomes something larger than the car it sits on. They have lived that before. They are living it again now. There is one more thing that needs to be addressed directly because it is already spreading online and it needs to be handled carefully. Some people on social media have attempted to connect Kyle's death to a lawsuit involving Kyle and Samantha Busch and a Pacific Life insurance policy. The argument being circulated compares this situation to conspiracy theories that followed Kobe Bryant's death, suggesting that because a major financial legal matter existed and Kyle died suddenly, something suspicious must be involved. There is no credible evidence supporting that claim. The family's own medical statement identifies the cause clearly: severe pneumonia progressing into sepsis with rapidly overwhelming complications. No official investigation or medical authority has connected the lawsuit to his death in any way. The case was reportedly settled confidentially before his passing. Spreading speculation without evidence in the middle of a family's grief is not journalism. It is not analysis, and it is not fair to Samantha, to Braxton, to Lennox, or to anyone in the Busch family who is trying to process an unimaginable loss. The confirmed medical explanation is already tragic enough on its own. Now let's talk about what Kyle left behind in the most personal sense. Just days before he died, Kyle posted a birthday tribute for Braxton, who had just turned 11. He wrote that he and Samantha were so proud of who Braxton was turning out to be, the best kid on and off the track, and that there was no limit to what he would accomplish if he kept doing what he was doing. He signed it, "Love you, buddy." That was not a racing headline. That was a father looking at his son and seeing everything he had hoped for. And the fact that it was one of his final public moments makes it something Braxton will carry for the rest of his life. Braxton has already responded in his own quiet way. After Kyle's death, he changed his social media profile picture to a photo of himself hugging his dad following Kyle's Truck Series win at Echo Park Speedway back in February. No words needed, just a son choosing the image that said everything. Braxton started racing at age 5. He has already accumulated well over 100 victories in youth competition, including the Tulsa Shootout Junior Sprint Championship. He has been a constant presence in the NASCAR paddock on race weekends, almost always near his father's car, absorbing the environment that Kyle was deliberately raising him in. He has said in interviews that he wants to reach the Cup Series one day because his dad raced there and he wants to be like him. But that question, whether Brexton can one day fill those shoes, is one that needs to be asked carefully and answered with patience. He is 11 years old. He is grieving. He deserves space to grow, to race at his own pace, to make his own choices, and to define his own path. The number 8 being saved for him is one of the most powerful gestures RCR could have made. But it should be a door waiting to be opened, not a weight placed on a child's shoulders. If the day comes when Brexton Busch climbs into an RCR Cup car with the number 8 on the door, it will be one of the most emotional moments this sport has ever witnessed. But that day belongs entirely to the future. Right now what matters is that Samantha, Brexton, Lennox, Kurt, and the entire Busch family receive every bit of support and every measure of privacy they have asked for. Kyle Busch was fierce. He was difficult. He was brilliant. He was stubborn and funny and competitive to his absolute core. He made people feel things about NASCAR that they didn't know they could feel about a sport. He made the garage louder and the grandstands more alive and the arguments more worth having. He was 234 wins written in the record book and a father tossing his son into the air in victory lane and a driver who told everyone to cherish every win because you never know when the last one is. The last one came at Dover. The number is parked. And somewhere down the road, a Busch is going to bring it back. Rest easy, Rowdy. The sport will never be quite the same without you. Our deepest condolences to Samantha, Brexton, Lennox, Kurt, Richard Childress Racing, and every member of Rowdy Nation still working through what this loss actually means.